All right, so today while I take my walk, I'd like to talk a little bit about the martial arts and how that unexpectedly led, at least my martial arts training, how it unexpectedly led to an awakening, and how martial arts or any type of training that is really challenging us can lead to awakening. For years and years I was drawn to the martial arts. I began practicing when I was about 12 years old. I remember watching the movie Enter the Dragon or something like that, and the Karate Kid and those things, and just how utterly captivated I was by the abilities of Bruce Lee, and just the idea that the martial arts led to greater self-control and ability, and how to face fears and that sort of thing. And so I was drawn into the martial arts rather early, but I'd already had a vision at a much earlier age of that my purpose in life was to awaken, so to speak, and to share what I learned with the world. And so when I first began martial arts, I didn't think all that much about the martial arts and how it related to awakening. My teacher didn't seem, at the time, my karate teacher didn't seem to be interested at all in it. But as I progressed, and I eventually got my black belt, and eventually I moved to Japan and started training with some very high-level martial artists, some of the top martial artists in the world in the samurai arts. And eventually, even more so, as I kind of became embraced by the instructors and become a kind of private student or inside student, that sort of thing, and was exposed to higher level arts, I was always in the back of my mind at that point is how does this relate to this path of awakening that I had dedicated my life to at a young age? And I couldn't readily see the connection. And I'm sure for most people that's hard to make that connection as well. But as I got to a more advanced stage, you see, at least in the traditional martial arts, certainly the martial arts that I studied, the arts are not taught in the way that we're taught in school. I mean, the instructors don't. A good instructor, they're not really instructors at all. What they're doing is they've created a kind of obstacle course, for lack of a better term. The obstacle course is actually the curriculum. It is the techniques that you study. Each technique, in my estimation, would be better described as a test. When you are able to pass that test, when you're able to complete that technique consistently under a variety of pressures, a variety of different energies and peoples and types of situations, then it means you've integrated enough to move on to the next test, or the next technique, as they would describe it. And what I found is, when I got to the more advanced levels, the movements were so subtle, the tests were so stringent, that it really seemed, frankly, it seemed impossible. I worked on one technique for 3 years straight, unsuccessfully for 3 years straight, day in and day out, failing again and again, multiple times. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of times probably, and it just kept at it. And about that time, during all that failure, I started really applying meditation to my martial arts. I started exploring, and in fact, I'd had a vision that showed me that the meditation should be integrated into the martial art, and that I needed to explore. I'd studied a healing art in Japan. I needed to explore the healing art mixed with the meditation, mixed with the martial art, and then, of course, with the permission of my instructor, work on this together and see where it took us. I told this to my instructor, and to my surprise, he agreed. And so we set aside every day a certain amount of time for private instruction to explore these arts. I taught him the healing art that I had studied in Japan and had received an instructor's license in, and then we worked on his martial arts curriculum, trying to find a common principle. So we would begin the study, maybe the first hour or so, working on the healing art, and then we'd start to notice certain awareness, a certain broadness, a feeling of expansiveness within the body, and then we would do the meditation and see what kind of feeling there was, and then we would see to the degree if we could integrate the healing art with the meditation. Eventually the two became kind of one common, very expansive feeling of unity. And then that we would apply when we were in that quote-unquote state to the martial arts, and it was so transformative. We were able to, I was able to do techniques, pardon me, I found a nice mushroom. Oh, it's a nice bolete that just came up. Pardon me. Oh, we've got the Matsu no Kaze. It's the sound of the wind through the pine needles. Beautiful, beautiful time of the year right now here in Southern Oregon. Anyway, and so what I found is that technique that I'd been working on for 3 years, suddenly it was just so easy to do. And so then we have a formal test that you then take once you complete all the techniques in a certain curriculum, and then you go on to the next level, which are even more difficult techniques. And so from that point on, using the meditation, each formal tests that I took, they're a certain length of time, and they're very, very difficult to pass perfectly. But I completed each test thereafter perfectly, and the next few levels, which would normally take many years to progress through, were completed within periods of months as a result of the meditation. And simultaneously, while having this tremendous success in the martial arts, I was having tremendous inner clarity, sense of unity with the universe. Pardon me, there's some more nice mushrooms coming up. Sense of looking for some nice edible ones if I find them. Gotta be very careful about mushrooms though. Make sure if you're collecting mushrooms, it's a great time of the year to do it. Just make sure you know exactly what you're collecting when you collect it. But yeah, this tremendous sense of unity started to be palpable in my daily experience. And then the meditation we were practicing, because we were practicing it actively, through the activities of the healing art, and of course it originally began sort of passive, but through applying it to the martial arts, it became active, eyes opened, and just fully engaged in under pressure. It's tested the integrity of the meditation, tested the integrity of the presence, so to speak. It's one thing to meditate and have a clear mind while seated. It's another thing to meditate and have a clear mind while seated with your eyes open. It's still another thing to do it while standing. Can you also meditate while walking? Can you meditate and have that same level of clarity while talking? Can you do it while running, while swimming? Those are easy things. Can you do it while someone's attacking you with a sword? Can you do it while multiple people are attacking you? And so what I found was that the approach of meditation as a retreat from life, I don't want to call it a mistake because it just sounds kind of rude. But let's just say that has some very strong limitations. And the strongest limitation is, the biggest aspect of that limitation is that we have the belief that we need to step away from life in order to have clarity, that we need to disengage. We need to retreat from life to be connected, and nothing could be further from the truth. Once we really start to integrate awareness into our daily life with a simple change of attitude that this is to be done under pressure, that the true path of awakening is a path of awakening into daily life and through daily life, we find that we can make tremendous progress. And so I used to say, if you have to sit to be meditated, you have to close your eyes to be meditated. If you can't meditate while you're running, you're a white belt. I mean, if you can't experience alternate dimensions while running, you're a white belt. That's what I used to say. I don't say that anymore. I mean, it's pretty it's pretty rude. But that was sort of how I approached it for myself. I just thought, if I can't do these things in the martial arts, then I am a white belt. I mean, so it wasn't meant to be rude. It wasn't meant to be arrogant. But that was just that was my own standard for myself. And so I would encourage the first step for anybody who's interested in awakening is to not shy away from pressures. If you want to apply meditation in your life and you want to make some real progress, consider doing it while standing, doing it with your eyes open, doing it while walking. If you would like to really make progress, you might even take up a type of martial art, some sort of swordsmanship, or traditional Japanese martial arts are pretty good arts to do that with, even jiu-jitsu. Great options. Arts that don't use a lot of overt strength, but use body positioning and harmony as a primary element are very, very beneficial. They work well with meditation. And so anyway, that's ultimately where the martial arts opened up to me, and how I could see. You read the ancient stories of what are called sword saints, Japanese master swordsmen who ultimately had awakenings and were revered in their day for their incredible abilities that were transcendental. And I thought that was all just I assumed that was just hooey, but it turns out there's something to it. So if you'd like more videos like this, I'm going to be producing a lot more, since I've got a mobile camera and I can kind of walk around and enjoy my daily walk and shoot these videos at the same time. It saves me a lot of time, but it'll allow me to make more videos. And so go ahead and click the, what would you call it, I don't know, click that button down there where you where you register for these things, and click the notification bell, and also in the description you'll find a link to the samurai meditation that I teach. You're going to find this to be utterly transformative, different than probably anything you've ever experienced. If you've read any of my books, you may have. If you've read The Unbound Soul or Experience Meditation Unbound, then you will have heard, or at least read and been exposed some to this type of meditation. But otherwise, it's just simply not something that you're going to find in the out there in the world. Go to my website and using the link in the description, and join a free 10-day trial. Hope to see you there. Have a great day.